Hello, welcome to this video. My name is Allie with A. Marie Speaks. Today I am hoping to offer a quick glimpse at my daily routine. This was inspired by a video that I saw recently. Well, it might have been, within the last couple weeks, of, an everyday person who's just sharing his journey and what he does each day to stay upbeat, to stay healthy and happy, and to make good choices. His journey and story was like so many, and so many that I know. I can't say that I personally have faced the struggle, but I know that directly a lot of people have recovery and addiction and that kind of stuff, drug dependency. And I know how, even just socially, trying to stop drinking and stuff like that, and partying or whatever when I was younger and things, how even if it's just a social habit and it's not that sort of extra level where it takes over your life, becomes something totally more, which is what this man obviously faced. And I know, whatever. Anyways, it's inspiring no matter which sort of level, to watch that we're part of. And I just thought it would be nice to offer my own kind of daily routines and things that I do to keep myself on the path, the eternal studentship that we're all on and we're all a part of. I think it's so crucial that we start to share the reality of it and speak plainly and bluntly, not rudely, and not from a place of negativity. We really need to understand what positivity is, natural abundance, organic wellness, what true health and wellness is, balance, and productivity, positivity. We have to actually understand unconditional love again, and then bring neutrality into that seeking and space, instead of the other's space of negativity and degradation and depletion and all that kind of debt-based systems and energetics. Speaking of routines, I'm fitting this in my routine is in the mornings before I get going with homeschooling with my sons. So let's jump into what we're actually here to talk about. I won't be, hopefully, not rambling on. I have already 2 videos set aside that I'm not even sure if I'll air them or not, but one is a half an hour and one is over an hour. And so I can't believe I haven't talked myself dry on the subject, but I'm really hoping to offer something that's more quick, even though I'm already 3 minutes in, to just sort of go down the line. And then perhaps anyone who's interested in any of those points know that I have tons of probably videos and content on all the things that I do and all the practices, how I've come through to them and where I've got them from and things like that. And then if I feel called, or after maybe this, we'll see about how this video goes, and maybe I'll put those background videos up after. But I know for sure I'm going to put up the fundamental one. We'll see. But to speak first on the fundamental practice that I do every single day, that I find myself coming back to. So I'm going to talk about these in a bit of a tiered group, like practices and habits that I come back to moment by moment throughout the days, that it's more than a daily practice. That's what I'm going to talk about first. And then I'm going to talk about things that I do daily, maybe once a day or twice a day, every day. And then I'm going to talk about things that are more of a hygienic, maybe a couple times a week, 3 to 5 times a week do I do these practices, and I'll talk about those chunk of things. And those I fit into my schedule as they fit into my schedule, and as I need them too. A lot of them have to do with what my body's doing and what I'm doing otherwise. as to if I need those sort of supplementary exercises, or if I have the time for them, or I have uh, the intrigue and the motivation for them. Sometimes it's, a whole other thing that goes into it. We have to recognize and let that speak too. So some things I do 3 to 5 times a week. Then there's the other kind of things I'm going to talk about that are more of like a cyclitic or seasonal practice. So hoping to get through those kind of tiered levels. I'm sure I'm going to miss things. I'm sure I'll come back, or maybe like, oh yeah, I'm going to air that hour-long deep dive because it will be worth it. I just can't touch on it all quickly. Yeah, that might be the case. But first and foremost are these sort of returning moment-by-moment practices. And of course, this I'm speaking at now is the level that I'm at in sort of like I've called the eternal studentship. I don't know. We're always learning and teaching, and I love to do that and embody that and to speak about it from a place of humble operation. And so yeah, without too much of the background to shoot. Being transparent with myself and others, and working to do this sort of energetic alchemy that needs to take place on mind, body, and spirit level, continuously, as much as I can throughout all of my moments and days. That's what I'm coming back to all the time. So that's sort of a moment-by-moment practice. That practice really began and is led by the practice of the breath, returning to my breath at every different moment. And whether that means to recognize that I've been holding breath, or recognize I'm breathing in a sort of different manner, or I need a good breath, or whether that's just noticing where my breath is traveling at, things like that, grounding in the sound of it. There's different reasons to return to the breath, but that's a key tool that I come back to all of the time. And I'll talk about breathwork practice, which is separate in a few. The other thing that's sort of a moment-by-moment practice for me is this sort of mental self-referee, positive thoughts. It's not filtration, and it's not from a place of negative critiquing either. It's the role of the observer, coming from a place of unconditional love. And that, before, years ago, I really had to do I had a lot of negative thoughts that would overtake all of my moments, that led down things like anxiety and spiraling into all these thoughts and things. But, 10, 12 years into a practice of that breath and calming my mind, it's a much different place to speak about, and that sort of role isn't there as much. That's more of just every kind of regular operations for me. But there obviously is disruptions, catalytic things. I am a mother of 2. And that comes into my daily habits too, and homeschooling my sons, 18 and 11 right now in 2025. And so, these sort of things come into play moment by moment. I have to really check myself and work at these things. But they're wonderful. And when I remember that they're just cyclic, just these every moment by moment is new, and I get to come right back to it, totally new, and it's eye-opening and refreshing, and that sort of incorporates this sort of living life awake, which is the ultimate practice. I find about, sorry, I had to look out the window really quickly. I think I hear my son getting out there. Living life awake and sort of allowing this co-creative space that we're all a part of, and to be a part of it myself, and to do that with an honor and a responsibility and accountability, to know that I am co-creating live action role in this sort of whatever that all of Source is watching, that we're all taking part in. Listening and responding in that, not so that I can see all of the potentials and possibilities, and I can discern correctly and act in action from great intuition, and knowing that I'm on purpose with a purpose, and that I am really seeing, hearing, and being, alive. I hope people are understanding what I'm saying, because I have come from, and I'm sure many of us live on this, and I see so many people who do live in this sort of autopilot, day by day, just go through their habits, like check, 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 check throughout the day. And it's like their brain or something is somewhere else as well, or they're waiting for the weekend, or they're waiting for off the clock, and they're not really actually alive, living in their mind, body, and spirit. So recognizing that for myself, and empowering myself to be alive as much as I can, as much as I realize I'm on autopilot, bring it back. Every time that I realize it's not connecting or something is off, like, look into it. Go see what's the issue. You'll be told within yourself what it is, and you can rectify it. You find harmonious solution, because you actually want solutions for yourself. It's not, if you, like, when you try to go to help somebody else and that you can't do anything because you don't know what solutions they're going to take in or how they're going to do it, that's infringing. But when it's in work on ourselves, it's happens. The commands are followed because it's part of you, the universe of you, your systems. Always going to listen to the CEO, and that's a huge part. That's what I talked about my fundamental practice as the CEO and the boss in the tower, systems and all that kind of development within myself. So I'm going to leave that there, about my fundamental practices and living in the moment, and jump into these sort of daily points that I make, a habit of my own that are part of my schedule. And first and foremost, sleep, and getting a good amount of sleep, knowing what sleep window works for you, and making sure that you get that so that you can wake up with energy and actually wake up refreshed. I'll talk a little bit about sleep at the end, and my sleep habits at the end. But for waking up, I don't wake up with an alarm. I'm lucky enough to not have to do that. I do understand some people cannot, but I don't. I wake up between 5:30 and 6:30, sometimes 7, depends, each day. And I'm really big on getting up. I'm a morning person, but I also like to be left alone and do kind of my own thing. So I always get up before my sons. I've always been that way, even since they were small. Since I discovered that this is the way that I could really break out of my kind of angst and highly negative charge that I used to have, I didn't even mean to, really, but whatever. I'm giving myself this time in the morning to do these things, to charge myself up with things that make me feel good, really help throughout the day. They really take me, the momentum carries throughout the day, that it's... the proof is in the pudding in these things. So I'm just going to go through the things, and I'm not going to talk about details really, since it's already pushing kind of the time that I feel like a short video shouldn't be much longer than. So when I get up, I put on coffee. I am a coffee drinker. However, I like to do my routine before I actually have my coffee. But I like to know it's there. And also my husband, we get up at the same time, we have, harmonious schedules, so it works. But he drinks coffee earlier, he'll have his. But anyways, get up, put that on. I like to make my bed, shake out my sheets and everything, get rid of kind of the stagnant energies, and of course wash sheets in a timely manner that's good for you. And let's not get carried away on things. Okay, make my bed, get up, have some water. Sometimes I have water and lemon, it depends, but definitely having water, and get into the sun. It depends on the weather, of course, but if the sun is up, the first thing that I like to do is just like I have a window in my bathroom too, so it's very nice. I can just go into my bathroom and open the shade and like get a nice douse of the sun if it's rising yet. But if it's early too, the sun hasn't really risen yet. So it depends on the time I'm up and the weather. But yoga is usually my very first thing that I do in my own room in private. 20 minutes to 40 minutes to an hour. It depends on the day and how I'm feeling. But yoga is an absolute must for me every single day. Don't skip it. I cannot. I will feel it if I don't. I'm a person who has come from like things of chronic illness. I've had a lot of injuries in doing childhood sports and things like that. So I have some ailments that tend to bother me, turning 38 in a couple of days. And so, yeah, if I don't keep up with that kind of stuff, if I even miss 2 or 3 days, like I have sporadically a couple of years ago, I was like 2 years ago, maybe I was kind of sick, pretty sick. And I missed like 2 to 3 days of it because like I really just couldn't even do anything. And I just remember the pain of my body, and it was not even worth it. I said, I'll never do that again. So even these days now, if I even have a bit of a cold or I have something where I don't feel great, my stomach's not great, I still do a little bit of it. I still stretch my legs out, get down on the floor. And so one thing, definitely every morning I get it. No matter how I'm feeling, grumpy or good, I get on my mat. And after that, I do meditation, and that is an everyday thing. That time is, it depends. Sometimes it's just 10 minutes or 20 minutes, up to 20 minutes usually right there. I'll just sit and after yoga. And then I like to, by this time, usually I can get in the sun. And I do my morning things when I'm getting in the sun right then, like brush up my teeth. I like to wash my face, do some lymphatic tapping, and combing. And at this time, too, this is bringing in the spiritual as well. And not just hygienic in the body, like doing it to clean my body, but I do it and give thanks to my teeth. Thank you so much for being here. And, thank you to my cells. Thank you to my face. I look at myself in the mirror and say, I love you. You're beautiful. Thank you for this life and this chance at life. I really do all of these kinds of things, and sometimes it's like difficult. Sometimes it doesn't connect. Sometimes it can almost feel like going through the motions. But sometimes I also find at those times great revelations come through to me. Other things come in at those times as well. Sometimes I'm really into it. Sometimes it's full of fever or real connection, and it's totally in the moment. And other days, it's a bit of a hardship. And I talk about that a lot, the Walter Russell prayer, and I did a bunch of episodes on how that prayer evolved over 2 years of coming back every Sunday to that. And that's a practice that I'll talk about. That's sort of a weekly practice that I do. But of course, like my meditation is really prayer as well, that especially in the morning, that first one after yoga is really sort of like my morning prayers. I also like to get in the sun and do a bit of actual direct thanking God for the day and like in the sun, and do some sun gazing. It depends on where you're at, so you can look into these things as well. Maybe I'll try to link some really great videos I've seen on eye health and circadian rhythm and things, but get and do some sun gazing. I like to get outside mostly. I have a wonderful front lawn space that is direct into the dawn, east facing, and so I'll get there. The morning I have this practice that I've cultivated and sort of modified after having extra external exposure to different things. But I do sort of at least 7 minutes in the sun. It's about 7 minutes. And I do a bit of prayer with the 7 heavenly angels, 7 earthly angels. And you can look into that if you are interested in the Gospel of Peace, or if you've ever read it. That's what I'm referring to. It's very interesting. I'll try to link some things in below about this as well. Sort of do some sort of pay homage to that and connect with that at that time, and outside as well. I really like to do that outside because, of course, you're connecting to nature. And I try to be mindful in that time as well, with my eyes open, like a peaceful observation of nature, birds, trees in my front lawn, and things like that. And the sun, of course, the sky. Then another daily thing that I'm doing is I'm trying to think, because around that time, I'm going to get into things that I do cyclically. Maybe I'll just talk about things that I do kind of cyclically. I do breath work 3 to 5 times a week, usually. Wim Hof is what I do. I really am a proponent of that. I have had such great benefits, and it's never ending. And I don't take it that hardcore. There's lots of people who take it hardcore, and it's a lot more. Okay. I don't know if my husband needs me or he wants to come in. But no. So yeah, that I started in 2019, 18, maybe 17, I forget. I got really into it in 2019, like bringing it into an all-the-time practice. But I think I was kind of like testing the waters, and had heard about it and stuff before that. And was kind of, this is the way also, sometimes things fit into a routine for a little while and they go away. Or they get really cultivated, you get really into them, they have a great purpose, and then they sort of pass on. Or they stay forever and they sort of change. Or they stay modified, in that same exact way, and you do them the same. It's you who changes. Say like brushing your teeth. You're going to go back and brush your teeth every single day, probably in the same way, because it makes sense, organizational sense. It makes logistical sense, But you coming to that practice, you're a different person every day. So you bring something different to that practice every day. And of course your mouth changes every day too. But the breath work has changed such over time. And this is another thing like yoga, that after I've gotten away from, or if I skip out, that, it starts to stretch out to more than 3 days, 4 or 5 days that I haven't done it, I will feel it. And I'll be like, ooh, why do I feel so off? Why am I so rushing around? How come my mind's really monkey mind, huh? Lately. And then I'll be like, oh, when's the last time I did breath work? I've been out of that for some reason. How come I got away from that? And I'll look at my calendar and be like, oh my gosh, yeah, it's been 4 or 5 days. But sometimes things happen, and we have different routines, different time limits and constraints and to-dos. And so, and me, myself, I have, a busy mind and many things on it. Sometimes I can be forgetful. So I think, oh, was it today? Was it a couple days ago? Sometimes days blend into other days. And when you live kind of a habitual life, like I do, homeschooling, and I live and work at the same place, and every day is kind of the same but different, it's easy to be like, wait a minute, what day is it? What day of the week is it? But that helps me even more, incorporating into, breaking into, and remembering that it isn't even daily, it's moment by moment, and to hit the refresh button and to bring it back to that practice. And so, yeah, sometimes breath work does fit into there, and I'm doing that as a supplementary practice in the mornings as well. And then, of course, I do homeschooling, and so that takes up a considerable amount of my afternoon. Even though I'm almost down to one son, because my first son is in his senior year, so and my second son is now approaching middle school, so it's really, the dynamics are shifting a lot from before when they were younger, which changes up my complete schedule and model as well. It's so interesting to see the switches, and to be able to have a bit more freedom and mobility in the day, and flexibility, and a little bit more of my own time. It's wonderful. But still, yeah, so homeschooling takes up my considerable amount of my sort of morning, afternoon time, and depending on what's going on where I'm living and working, sometimes I have cleanings to do as well. Cleaning I'm going to talk about as a habit and hobby as well, and I have used it as a metaphor many times. I think it's such a great, tangible, exercise that is actually very spiritual and mental, not just physical. And it really helps us sort through our internal, disorganization, our internal garbage, our internal imbalances and all these kind of things in such a different manner that really pays for itself in its weight in gold, truly. So just to say that I feel, getting exercise, getting outside, that's another thing that's a part of almost my everyday, or 3 to 5 times a week, getting out into, we have a great place that I can go right into the woods and walk, but we also do hiking and nature trails and all different kinds of outside activities. But getting outside every single day, grounding, getting your bare feet on the ground, weather permitting, but also cold exposure is wonderful too, and cold showers, that's the thing that is also a part of my daily, or 3 to 5 times a week, depending on my feelings and things. But cold shower, just hit it total to cold, and be underneath that for 1.5 to 3 minutes, depending on how long it really takes to sort of get my entire body out of shock mode into neutrality under the coldness, and totally get the good feeling from it. I got that from Wim Hof, of course. I don't do ice plunges. I don't have any space for it. I've never done that before. I've never tried that. It could be for some people. But I haven't done it. But again, in hygiene, showering, bringing the spirit into it. I do shower meditations. I'm huge on those. I have a couple of different infographics and write-ups about that. Different things to do during the shower for yourself. Self-care, as well as mental health and spiritual health. Really integrating mind, body, and spirit completely into these processes is something that's been groundbreaking for me, and is really so enjoyable. It makes life so enjoyable. And now I'm here, I'm at a half an hour. Wow. Again. Okay. Anyways, I guess I just can't do anything short. I haven't even like touched on other things either. Okay. So final thing, music, the content that I'm exposing myself to, that I expose my family to, what we consume on a daily basis is something that has a huge part of my practice, part of health and wellness for me. And balancing that, understanding what's good for us and what's not, and just discernment of that, of course, comes into play. And that's really a daily thing. It's really moment by moment, honestly, but yeah, so food, screens, people, conversations, emotions, how we deal with problems, that kind of stuff. Transparency, honesty, seeking betterment, seeking what's best for all of us is really part of my integrated, important routine, my daily routine. Now, after I'll just go quickly into say that I get great exercise by cleaning. If I don't get outside, I have a lot of cleaning. So, and cleaning in itself, cleaning spaces, I have found to be such good work, energetically and spiritually as well, not just physically. And And so, yeah, that's how, a majority of my day is spent. Other than that, taking in content that is positive, bringing in good reading and music, videos that are inspiring, things that you'd like to learn about. I love to read. I'm always reading. I was reading at least one book, if not sometimes multiple books, because a lot of times it's like nonfiction, and then maybe I'll have like a fiction fun story going to read as well. Writing and journaling is a big part of my sort of day, 3 to 5 times a day, daily, but it depends on what journal and for what reason. I'm writing always about different things. Dream journal, I love to keep up with. Gratitude and thank you journals, I'm huge on, and I've done a couple of different blogs and things on those already. I'll try to remember and link some of those. Or maybe do a new one. I haven't done one in quite a while, actually. Thinking of that. Could be time for that. Also, connectivity to source, and utilizing different kinds of spiritual practices like tarot and my cards. I do that. That's more of a seasonal practice. It's not even a weekly thing, except for my weekly Friday readings, of course. I do that every Friday. But the touch-ins and the spreads and a real communion space with the cards would be, I would think, more of a cyclitic monthly kind of thing for me, or seasonal touch base and go. Same thing with my crystals. I do have crystals are a big part of my life and my enjoyment of my experience of life. I guess that's what I'm kind of talking about here. And do different meditations with them, and also I do different hygienic things, clean them and rearrange them and things like that. That's more of a cyclitic seasonal kind of practice that I keep up with and like to honor and do. Same thing with burning, Palo Santo, cleanses and detox. And I work those into my meditation practices as well. So sometimes I'll be doing deeper meditations for greater periods of time, for in a day or a whole week, or depending on a couple of days. It depends on what I'm going through and what time of the year it is. Like, for example, it's springtime, and I really always need to sort of buckle down and spend more time, more focus introspectively, doing more longer sessions of meditation. And I get really great work out of these, half an hour, 40 minutes, an hour long meditations. Sitting down during the day kind of meditations. The last thing that I want to talk about is sort of my end of the day routine. And I know this was supposed to be quick and I was not, but thank you so much if you are really listening through this and getting anything from it. Thank you for your audience and your time. I truly, I swear I'm trying to be as quick as I can. But when it comes to the end of the day routine, I like to have a clean place and space before I go to bed, just like I like to wake up and clean things and sort of get things set and fresh for the day. I like to get things set and fresh for nighttime as well. And it comes along with sort of some household duties for me, since I am a mother, and I run a household. So that comes with like cleaning spaces. And I like to usually do a small amount of yoga, gentle stretching and things like that before I lay down. Sort of, let go of all of the stress from the day and ease my body's sort of accumulation of whatever sort of stressors have been all over me all day. And usually I always have music on, some kind of a solfeggio or relaxation music that, and get ready for bed. When I'm going to bed, I try to stay away from my phones and screens beforehand. I'll do some reading or, hang with my kids, or I'm doing laundry, I'm doing some like chores and things like that, try to be away from my cell phone or computer for a little while before bedtime. Also, brush on my teeth and have water. I like to, I forgot to really speak about eating. I talked a lot about that in the other video, but I'm more of an intermittent fasting person. That's just how I've always been. I've never been a big eater, but I typically stop eating by 8 p.m., and then I don't eat again until the following morning or afternoon, really, I don't eat until probably noon or 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Sometimes 11:30. It really depends on what I'm doing. But I've never been an eater in the morning. It doesn't really vibe with me. It doesn't feel good. I feel very weighed down, and um, yeah, I don't like to feel overly full. I like to feel light and energetic, you know. But anyways, I do have like a lunch, and I have like a meal of dinner. Food is different for everybody. Diets are different for everyone. I'm not going to speak on what's like a good diet or not. Everyone is different. Myself, I don't even know, you know, and I want to admit that. I always try different things and I have tons of food sensitivities and things like that. So I know the struggle and understand it. I'm not trying to push anything on anybody there. Find what feels good with yourself. That's what I do each day. Pray before I eat. Ask if I should be eating this. I'm big on that. Muscle testing and that kind of thing. If you understand those kinds of concepts, I've heard are really well. I'm not really educated in that manner, although it's quite interesting to me. I do more of a check-in sort of thing than I do with any sort of feedback from a muscular sense or kinetic feedback. But whatever works for anybody, there's a million different dynamics. You find what works for you. But I check in and figure out what I'm going to eat that day. And yeah, but I eat a larger meal, usually depending on what we're doing. You know, it's anywhere between 4 and 7 p.m., you know, that I'm swinging eating, and I'm eating whatever, you know, I eat. But I am also a proponent of eating things that don't have a million ingredients in it, only things that I can actually read and I know what they are. And mostly just, I don't eat boxed food or bagged things. You know, here and there I have and I do sometimes things, but mostly I really try to stay away from all of it. And yeah, so don't eat right before bed is a thing for me. I try to go to bed at least an hour or so after I've had something last to eat. But that also, sometimes that depends, because sometimes we run late. Sometimes I work till 9 o'clock at night, depending on what's going on. I can be busy still at 9. But for the most part, I go to bed around 9:30 most nights, 10:30. Sometimes I've been up later, but to go to bed for me, this works perfectly. Past in my life, I've had issues sleeping, insomnia, and all, trouble falling asleep, consistency staying asleep, and all these things. So what I got into almost first when I had my health crises wake up back in 2014 or so, I started to really decide I was sick and tired of being sick and tired, and I was going to try different things and really actually want to find things that help me. Instead of just claiming victimhood and falling into bad habits and all these things, I decided to start taking charge of things. And instead of, saying I couldn't sleep and all these things, I started looking for things to help me sleep, natural things, because I didn't want to do sleep pills and things like that. And I found sleep meditations, and that changed my world. So every night, I listen to them mostly every night. And also it helps because my husband kind of snores sometimes. So it's nice to have plug-in and to have background sound. But whether I'm listening to a leaded guided meditation or hypnosis, or whether I'm just listening to Hertz music or waves crashing, depends on what I'm feeling and doing. But a lot of times it's a great time to spend when you're going to go before bed, to do some alchemy, to do some energetic letting go, to do some gratitude work, to do some light and shadow refreshing, to pray and ask for guidance, to get healing and recharge the body, to dive into the systems of you and do some corrective management, to do some productivity checks, do some QC, whatever it is to you, that's a time for you. And that's how I started to really love to go to bed as well, because it's dedicated time to myself. That was like the payoff to, and the great, so like the dessert at the end of the day or the end of the meal or whatever, to the end of my day, doing great service for my family and my home and everyone around me. I get to do this, have this great promise of service to myself, a promise of returning to recharging, and that I am worth it and worthy, and that I love myself enough to do all that, and to thank myself for every day, whether it's a great day or a hard day, whether it was easy or there was a lot of problems or whatever. To have a bed to lay in, to have a place to rest my head, to have a place of my own, sometimes even just having gratitude for that is amazing, and it sets you up for a great night's sleep, and it lets you rest easy. So learning to rest easy, that's been the sort of final thing of mine, and that's a habitual everyday practice, and that's also a reminder that comes into my life all the time, in many different ways throughout the day, and that rest easy comes in with peaceful gratitude in the heart, and that helps to break in these chunks of meditation throughout my day, and to slow things down, and to stay in the moment even more, like I started talking about at the very beginning. And so, getting a good night's sleep and ending my day with that gratitude meditation, that's it. That's about it for me. And now it's been 40 minutes. Better than an hour, I guess. Shorter than the last one. So I guess I have met my mark. I'm going to really leave it there and stop talking. Thank you so much if you did stick with me to listen to this. I hope you found similarities and inspiration, motivation, maybe something new to try even. I'd love to hear everything from you, anything you do differently, or something you love or have found that is a great part of your everyday routines, or something that fits into your weekly schedules and things to keep you in this, on that good path, doing the good work on your journey, in this world. It's a hard world we're all in. And like I said at the very start, when we share these things, we remember that we're all on walking hard paths, and we all are really trying to keep up the good work all the time. We give each other little boosts, and, great transmutation takes place, and we're re-energized to keep moving forward. And at the end of the day, isn't that really what we're here to do? Isn't that what we're all wanting? Even though we are, seeing in front of us great piles of, atrocity, and heaping piles of garbage everywhere, and such mess and chaos. It's like, we just, in the recognition of the truth of that, okay, that's what it is. But we don't have to take that into us and say that's what we are too. We have to be that. We have to go dig through that and find some kind of, that's the only things to work with. We've got to find some worth in that. I think we could remember, grateful goodness, that we have a chance to do other things, that we have all of these great points throughout the day that we can harken back into, that actually enliven the day, that actually make it better, that fulfill it up in ways that feel good to be alive, that aren't depleting and degenerative and deranged and derogatory. All these things that just, why are we choosing these things for ourselves out there? I get it, because I've done things like that, but also I feel the freedom, I feel the great empowerment and the truth of sovereignty and of, divine rightness to life, the pursuit of happiness, freedom to be you, who we all are, each one of us. That in itself feels so great. To just do it your own way, to do what you feel called to do in your own way, make your own routine and schedule and speak about it and share it. And not to say that others have to even pick up any of the points, or they have to pick up any of mine, but just to see that others are doing good work out there. In the privacy of their own place and space, there are others out there, just like you do, just like I am. I don't need to know who and what it is really. When I see others, like I saw that other video that inspired me, it's great. It's a tangible external validation that yes, there's other brothers and sisters out there, like-minded, doing good work in their own place and space for their own reasons. God is alive in others. It is real. It is true. Creative consciousness, conscious creator, infinite intelligence is coursing through everything. It is working. It is divinely alive. It is fully present and aware and awake, just like I am. And I want to honor that and be alive in that. And when I see it in others, I just feel it's a wonderful inspiration. So I hope others feel the same. And if you are called and you do share, I'd love to see others. Feel free to drop links or send me emails or messages about that. If you do put up your own blogs or videos about that, your own versions, I'd love to see and hear them. Feel free to send me emails. My link is always in the description. And or you can find me directly on my website, amariespeaks.com. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time.